Hello and welcome back to another episode of Truly Bedrock with me, Mr. Beardstone. No. Not the first time I've died during an intro, and to be honest, probably won't be the last. But that was also a really strange dream when I knocked myself out just there. Everything seemed kind of familiar, but not really familiar. It's a bit weird. I mean, I don't know if it was a premonition, because I'm pretty sure I saw a quad slime chunk farm there as well, which is actually what we're going to be doing today. So maybe it's a flash from the future? I really don't know. I'm very confused right now. However, enough about that. Today we have lots to be getting on with, such as this. It's really green. And this. And of course this. Ta-da! But first I'm going to get myself dressed again and I will show you what we've been up to between episodes. So last episode we managed to get up 1, 2, 3, another one round the back, which is 4 of course, 5 and 6 buildings. And it's really pulled this area of the city together. So I decided maybe we should add a couple more. So yesterday we did a stream and we added buildings on this side here. So these are much smaller than the other ones, of course, because there wasn't a lot of space. I didn't want to make them too tall and thin. They would have looked a little bit odd. So we've just got 3 smaller buildings on this side. We're going to put a big advert on the side of that brown building to kind of collect all that together and get rid of that big blank wall. And as you can see on the left there, we put a larger building in. I do, however, still need to put the air conditioning stuff on, the radio masts and other roof details, which I have managed to get on a few of the buildings over here. And it really does make a difference to the top of these builds. Also, between episodes, we have scouted a location for part 2 of the RPG quest, but that's something we're going to be getting to hopefully later in the episode. So the first thing I want to be doing today is actually down here, which is in the slime farm. So down here we do have these quad chunks that we have dug out. And yeah, I'm getting some really crazy deja vu with this place, but I think I've got an idea for the design and how we're going to make this look. I've collected lots and lots of green things. We have green wool, we have green concrete powder, and solid green concrete as well, because we're going to be needing that. And I have lots and lots of green terracotta, and well, you can probably see the theme. It's green. The theme is green. But I want to get this farm up and running and looking nice before we get much else done today. So the first thing for me to do is probably going to be to find where the center of each of these chunks are and install some iron golems. So I haven't quite got the golems in as yet, but I have worked out where they're going to go and how the main collection system at the bottom of each pit is going to work. So down here for a closer look, we've basically got the pits that the slimes are going to fall into. We are going to have some minecarts going backwards and forwards with some magma cubes on top, which will actually kill them. And this way I can just have one killing floor. We can have all the slimes dropping through from the floors above as well. And speaking of that, we're going to have 3 floors in total. The reason we're doing 3 floors is to do with spawn radiuses. If we come over to here, this is where I've worked out the optimal AFK spot to be, right on that lamp. If we click this, then we should get our spawning sphere. So as you may or may not know, anything within the green sphere here is safe, basically. Mobs will not spawn here, nothing will ever spawn there because it is too close to me when I'm standing on that spot. However, if we come down here, you can see just about the edge of one of the red spheres there. So in between the green and red, that is where bad things can spawn. And it's the bad things we want, of course, because slimes are technically a bad mob, even though when they're small like this, they don't even do any damage to you. So cute. But what's important is that these spheres mean that anything falling down in these pits is going to be still within the spawning sphere and won't despawn, and we can fit 3 floors in. A 4th floor would actually push it inside the green bit, and therefore stuff wouldn't spawn anyway. Whoa, alright there, big fella. So as you can see, this is already working. It's spawning in slimes, they're jumping towards me, they're falling down the hole, and once we get the golems on their spots here, they should actually do that automatically. But first, I do want to sort out the full collection system. So ideally, we're going to want all the drops to actually be up on that floor where our AFK spot is. So I think I'm going to put a tube in at the back here, and everything's just going to get taken up by a bubble vator and go into storage up there. But I do, of course, need to figure out how to get things into this water tube. So I think I'm going to need to dig a small network of tunnels. We're going to have minecarts going backwards and forwards here, but we can have them just offload somewhere over here and then spit everything into a water tube maybe, which then goes over to this one, pushes things into the final tube there, and so on. So I think that might be the best thing for us to do. We can then do something similar over here and run a water tube underneath the floor, or in fact that's probably actually going to have to be in the side here because we're right down at Y5 at the bottom there, so the bedrock's going to be a bit of a problem. And same here, we can pretty much just pump everything back behind these walls, get it into a tube, and shoot it up to the top. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do is probably to sort out the central one here, because this is going to be the main sort of drop-off point, I guess, for everything. But it turns out we didn't actually need too many water streams in the end, by which I mean we're pretty much only going to have the bubble column and maybe one from the chunk at the back there. But this is pretty much what it's going to be. We've got a minecart down here that's going to collect anything that drops onto the blocks above, and if we go through here, on this side, you can see I have actually already put in the magma. I did have to raise one block there just so that there's a few hoppers for the minecart to unload. It's, you know, not going to be producing lots and lots, so it should be enough to keep up with it all without having to have a proper minecart unloader and delaying it and so on. But I have also ensured that the minecarts do not leave their chunk, so there's no chance of those disappearing. So from these first two chunks, everything just feeds into this small hopper line, and that goes directly into this dropper, and whenever anything goes in there, so for example, if we do that, it will just get spat directly into this area here, which is of course where the water tube's going to be. We're going to set up the same from this side, so this will sort out the chunk on that side over there, and of course the one at the back. So it should be fairly even on how much stuff each one's getting, and hopefully it won't get backed up. So the next thing I need to do is of course get this layer in over here, and this is going to be 2 completed slime chunks, so I should probably disable the dropper for now, because I don't want to be spitting the slime all over the place. I'd kind of like to see how much this is actually going to produce. So for now, I'm just going to remove that one block there. I'll then block this off the same as we did with the other side, and I guess I'm just going to pillar my way out up here for now. So from above, this is what we get. That is not tall enough for the slimes to get over, so that's not a problem. They'll still die. The only thing is, if of course slime lands on this block here, it's not going to get collected. But I think that's a small price to pay. So I'm going to get the next 2 sorted out, which will be the one over that side and the one over there, and we're going to get some iron golems in. In fact, I might quickly do that now. So if we grab that and that, what we can do is if we do... Oh, there we go. If we do that, then the golem should fall directly behind the fence, and we shouldn't have any trouble. Let's give this a go. Perfect. Look at that. So I'm just going to do the same on the other 3 of these as well. In fact, I'm not going to do it on the 2 over there just yet. I might wait until I'm actually done in the pit, because otherwise we're going to end up calling all the slimes directly onto where we are, and that's probably not a good idea. So in theory, those 2 golems should now work as a distraction and prevent any slimes jumping into the 2 holes where I'm working. At least, that's the hope. So before we sort out the last 2, however, I just wanted to take a quick look, and straight away a slime has spawned over there and another one over here, and they are jumping directly into the magma blocks, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to get our first slime straight away. And they are done. So we now have 1 entire floor of slime making glory. So we've got our 4 golems in place, we've got all of the sort of collection system, the killing system, and as you can see, we've got the start of the water tube in, and that is already producing slime, which is fantastic. So up here on our AFK platform, you can see the farm is already producing. We've got slimes in 3 out of the 4 little killing areas, and this should produce quite nicely for us while we're here, but I do still want to get a couple more floors in to give them more spawning space. The caves all around should already be lit up. We've kind of done quite a lot of that in stream. And I'm thinking the surface up there is probably going to need a bit of light also, because otherwise when nighttime comes, the mob cap's going to be taken up, most likely on the surface. But during the day, things seem to be working just fine. And just from that 30 seconds or so we spent up there, we've already got 30 slime, and in fact there's a little bit more. So we've got half a stack of slime. That's about a stack of slime per minute, just with the 1 layer here, as long as it's daytime and or lit up on the surface. So let's get in the remaining 2 layers, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with the rest of the walls. And now we have all 3 layers in place, and I've also put in a glass tube. This actually goes all the way up to the top, and I have started putting in a floor up there. So I kept it quite simple for now, just put in a glass floor, a few lights, and a slime face. The AFK spot is actually right in the middle of his forehead there. But the reason I went ahead and did this bit as well is because I figured I'm going to be here for quite a while, sorting out the walls, and while I'm here, I may as well be collecting the slime. And if we just go take a closer look, what happens is the slime comes up these tubes here, and then just gets deposited either to the left or to the right. And that is as simple as that. And we're collecting all the slime in these chests here. So if we wait here just a moment, we should see some slime come up any second. In fact, there you go. There's some right there. It just comes up to the top here, goes straight into that hopper, and of course into this chest here. So with the farm up and running and the storage working, it's time to sort out the rest of these walls and actually sort out an entrance to this place, because currently we're still using that hole over there. So with the walls, the basic plan is to have concrete on the bottom, and then that's going to gradually transition into the lime wool, and then we're going to have that transition into powdered concrete at the top. So we're going to have a slight gradient going down the wall, and I might put a slime face in here and there. I don't know. That's not really the intention, but I don't know if I can help myself with this much green stuff going on the walls. We may end up with 1 or 2 slimes. Right, well, I'm going to stick on a podcast. I'm going to start placing some blocks, and I'll meet you back here once this room is looking a whole lot greener. Well, I would say mission success. Everything is looking a whole lot greener, and I've even managed to collect lots and lots of slime, which I promptly turned into blocks and I've used on the ceiling for decoration. And yeah, I kind of ran out. So we still need a bit more slime. We need to actually go AFK here so we can get this all finished off. But I do actually really like how that looks. I think it's nice and easy to see what's going on here. And, you know, fairly basic, but I think it does the job just nicely. Although I can't stop thinking that looks a bit like a face. So the gradient down here on the walls I think works really well. We literally just go from the concrete to the wall to the concrete powder, and I like it. It's a nice transition, and it saved me having to make lots and lots of hard concrete, which I'm a big fan of because that is quite painful to do on Bedrock. So with that, I think we can call this farm done. We're still collecting slime while we're running around here talking. I will of course come back, do some more AFK and get the ceiling finished off, and we're not done. We're not done at all, are we? I haven't put an exit in yet. There we go, much better. We've just got quite an industrial looking walkway up here, and I've also added some glass barriers on the side here because I don't want to cover the whole floor. I think it's nice to be able to actually look over the edge, and it's going to save us a lot of glass. And I'm all up for saving glass. So now we can actually leave the farm safely. I think it's time to move on to our next project. Well, isn't Skelly? And that involves me revisiting here, which is of course the buildings that I showed at the start of the episode that we had built on stream. And I kind of want to get these 2 buildings in as well, because that's going to help complete this corner a little bit more. We can get some barriers in, maybe even some sort of furniture and stuff for the cafe. Yeah, that could work. We can then also get the barriers in on this edge. We can look at what to do out the front here. I don't really know. We're going to have quite a lot of space, but I'm sure we'll think of something. And same with these areas over here. We might just get a couple of trees in, get some foliage, have a path that kind of runs around the side of the edge here. And I think that's going to work quite well for us. So I've got a couple of shulkers full of stuff that we're going to need for this build. The only thing I'm missing is the highlight colour for this particular one. And I don't know what that's going to be yet. So I think I'm just going to make a start on this, and we'll see how we get on. Ta-da! We have another building. I know, you thought you were going to get a time-lapse, you heard the bass, you got all excited, and then a building just sprung up in front of you. And there is a reason for that, and I'm sorry. There were definitely technical issues. I've just got off of stream, we were recording it while on stream, but my computer had a bit of a moment and basically just crashed everything. The stream shut down, and the recording shut down, and we basically lost everything we were doing in that regard. So, I'm sorry. But we do have a shiny new building at the front here, and I decided to use the red sandstone as a highlight colour, because if we look at the building from over here, it adds a nice splash of colour to this side, and I think that really works. I've also added in a billboard for Barn Bros above that sort of brown building there, because that's kind of visible when you're a bit more over that side. especially once we get this building in here. That is going to cover it up a bit from over here, but I'm really liking how this skyline's coming along, and getting these buildings across the front here instead of just seeing the backs of these other ones is making a massive difference to the look of the city. The next thing I think I'm going to do is to get this building in next door. It's only a little building, so I'm probably not even going to bother time-lapsing it because it'll end up being like a 5-second time-lapse. So I'm just going to quickly crack on, get that one built, and then we have a little bit of an adventure we need to go on. A few moments later and we have another building in place. I do still need to sort out the front bit here with all the path and so on, and of course I need to add some doors and other bits, and yeah, it definitely doesn't have an interior. Like most of the buildings we're doing at the moment, these are just kind of filler buildings just to make the skyline look better. So yeah, interiors would be nice to get some in, but it is not a priority for me. I want to get the rest of the buildings in first. I think having the purple building here as well really plays well with the red one and actually gives this side a little bit more colour, because it was looking a little bit monotone and we've got little flashes of colour here and there, but I think a whole purple building really sets that off. And considering there's going to be a massive white one there as well, it should lighten up the back bit too. But enough about buildings for today. We have somewhere else we need to go and something else we need to go check out. And that is of course related to part 2 of the quest for the lost staff of Karnes. If you haven't seen the first part of that quest, you can either watch me making the quest, or of course you can check out some of the other TB members that have done chapter 1, but it's about time we start working on chapter 2. So I've been scouting locations. If you're familiar with the story so far, essentially a staff was broken into 3 pieces given to 3 ancient tribes, and they have hidden pieces in different places, and we're about to go see the location of where the second tribe is. The first one was kind of on the edge of a desert, and the next one is actually not too far from where the first one was. And that's going to be over here on the edge of the jungle. I found a jungle temple here, which I think is a great entry point to what we're going to have below. And this is pretty much going to be a one visit place. So on the last one, we sent the adventurers to a couple of different places. But this one, they can choose to go see you and the fisherman at first to go and of course stock up on a few resources. But then they're basically going to be sent here, and they're going to have a wonderful time. By which I mean I'm going to be constantly trying to kill them, of course. So we've got this temple here to work with, which of course is not very big, but I'm sure we'll have some fun. But more importantly, if we go down below here, we have a bit of a path, which then leads to where the main event is going to be. So this is the tunnel we need to go down to get to where the main area is, and as you can see, I've been having a little bit of a play around with a few things. I want to put some simple parkour in here. It's not going to have a lava floor or anything like that, but it is going to damage the person if they keep falling down. It's going to get through some of their food, and basically I just want them to start using up some of the stuff we gave them at the start, and this seems like a good way of doing it without necessarily causing their death. That being said, there are going to be bits of dripstone around and about, so if they're extremely unfortunate, they may still die. So there's going to be some kind of combination of parkour slash puzzle challenge that will lead the player over this way, and then we've still got the whole second part of the corridor. Haven't really worked out exactly how that's going to go, but imagine that being like the first location. So it's going to be a good sort of 10-15 minutes for the person to get through this bit, and then they come through here to the main event. Oh, and speaking of which, we've already been met by a friend. Let's quickly get rid of him, if I can actually aim properly. There we go, much better. So the player is going to come into this room here. So once the adventurer has got through that first tunnel, they'll be in this room here, which isn't going to have these bits. This has just been me working stuff out. And they've got a little bit of a labyrinth to find their way through. So eventually they're going to end up in this room here, and this room has something a little bit special about it, which is a zombie spawner just beneath the surface. And there's a reason why I've put the sort of get ready room there, and that's because it should start spawning in zombies, and the first part of the labyrinth, they should be within range of this, so it's going to be spawning zombies, and I'm going to be feeding them up and into this room. So there's going to be lots of dangerous stuff milling about in the maze here. There is, of course, also chance for the adventurer to get drops from that, because if the zombies are spawning with leather armor or any kind of armor really, or weapons, then, well, the adventurer gets to keep anything from mobs they kill. So that should be a lot of fun. And to prevent other mobs spawning, I'm going to be using slabs on all the corridors, and that means we can put in some mood lighting, we don't need to worry about mob spawns, and, well, we can flood the whole place with zombies, and hopefully get them a little bit dead. Once they have entered this central room, however, there are a number of different doors that lead to different places, and when I say different places, they all head back into the labyrinth in one way or another, some link up to each other, and so on. So the hope is that the adventurer is going to keep getting sent back to this room as they struggle to find their way out, and that's going to keep spawning more and more zombies, making it more and more dangerous, and so on. We're then going to have an exit at the back corner of the maze as well, which I may well move. I don't know exactly where that's going to be yet, but this is essentially where we are with the second part of the adventure. And I guess this is kind of part 2 of chapter 2, because the first part's obviously going to be getting to the Jungle Tribe's temple and getting through the initial caves and puzzles, which I kind of want to do something a bit similar to what the Goonies did with that whole organ and the music thing. I think that'd be a really good little puzzle to have in that tunnel. And if we can, you know, do something like that, I think that's going to add a little bit more to the adventure and make it just not a parkour trip the whole way through. Then of course they need to use their brain for the labyrinth. They're going to get through that eventually, and it should be quite tricky, but there's going to be ways for the wizard to hop through sort of some higher jumps. There's going to be ways for the archer to find shortcuts using their bow and additional treasure. There's going to be barrels scattered around as well, so that the adventurer will get rewarded. The longer they're in the labyrinth, you know, when they come across barrels, they're going to have more and more stuff in them the longer they're in the area. So it's not necessarily bad to explore the labyrinth as a whole. You're going to get fairly well geared up. There's going to be weapons and armor as well as other bits and bobs to help fight the mobs, but this should be quite an adventure for them. And then of course it goes on to stage 3, which is going to be a test of, well, your characters really. You know, you're going to have to choose between things like strength or speed or stealth and things like that, agility maybe. And there's going to be a set of mini-games that they're going to need to work their way through based on what they think their strengths are. So there's going to be probably 2 sets of 3 mini-games. They will do one of the first 3 and one of the second 3, maybe more if they end up dying, which they probably will if my plan comes together properly. And then that will eventually lead them to the next part of the staff. So quite a long adventure really, this one. Chapter 2 is definitely going to be longer than Chapter 1, and it should be a little bit more deadly, hopefully, because certain people didn't die on the first one, and that's just unacceptable. So, yes, we need to make sure we're definitely killing people, and, well, the challenges at the end are going to make sure of that. And that is going to be the adventure down here. So we've got lots and lots of work to do. I don't want to focus too heavily on this bit in videos, the maze specifically. The rest of it is, you know, something we can cover once we've got it built up a little bit more. But I don't want to, of course, spoil the puzzles and the solutions and how to actually achieve the things in this adventure, because if the TBers are watching, then I want them to actually be able to come along and experience the adventure for themselves. And that, of course, goes for you guys as well, because when the world download comes up, I don't want you to know all the answers now. Where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that? So now we're all caught up on where we are with the quests. We've done some work on the city. I'm afraid that's where I'm going to have to love you and leave you. It's been a lot of fun making this episode, and hopefully next episode I can show you a little bit more progress over here, and I totally nearly walked off that ledge. But if you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you on the next episode of Truly Bedrock. Bye-bye now.